Let's start with a feeling that I think we've all carried at one point or another. That strange, heavy fog that settles in around the 25th of the month. You look at your banking app, you see a number that is significantly lower than you expected it to be, and you honestly can't account for where it all went. You weren't out buying designer handbags or taking spontaneous trips to Vegas, you just lived your life. You bought groceries, you grabbed a couple of coffees, you paid for that subscription you forgot to cancel, and somehow the money just evaporated. It feels like you're trying to catch water with a net. You're working hard, you're trading your life force for a paycheck, but at the end of the day, you don't feel like you own your life. You feel like you're just a middleman between your employer and your bills. If that resonates with you, I want you to know that the problem isn't your math, and it honestly might not even be your income. The problem is a lack of mindfulness. We live in a world designed to keep us distracted. One-click ordering, contactless payments, and targeted ads are all engineered to move money out of your pocket before your brain even has a chance to register the transaction. Modern finance has become frictionless, but friction is exactly what we need to keep our footing. When you can pay for a $100 dinner with the flick of your wrist, you lose the weight of the transaction. You lose the connection between the effort it took to earn that money and the ease with which it left. But what if the solution wasn't a complicated app or a restrictive, soul-crushing budget? What if the solution was a 120-year-old journal from Japan? Today, we're diving deep into Kakeibo, the household account book that has helped millions of people find financial peace without ever using a spreadsheet. This isn't just about saving pennies, it's about changing your relationship with time and value. This is a roadmap to a life where you finally feel in control. Before we get into the heart of this ancient secret, if you're tired of the financial fog and want more practical, human advice on building wealth, do me a huge favor. Hit that like button and subscribe. It tells the algorithm that real, mindful finance matters. And I want to hear from you right now. What is the one thing you spend money on that makes you feel guilty later? Is it takeout? Amazon? Random hobby supplies? Drop it in the comments below. Let's get honest about our leaks so we can start plugging them together. To truly understand Kakeibo, we have to travel back in time to 1904. Imagine Japan at the turn of the century, a country rapidly modernizing, caught between ancient traditions and the dawn of a new industrial age. Enter Motoko Hani. She was a trailblazer in every sense of the word. Not only was she Japan's first female journalist, but she was also a thinker who believed that financial independence was the cornerstone of personal dignity. At the time, women were largely responsible for managing the household, yet they were often left in the dark about the big picture of economics. Hani believed that if a person could master their own household, they could master their destiny. She founded a magazine called Fujin no Tomo, and in its pages she introduced the first Kakeibo. While it might look like a simple ledger, it was actually a revolutionary act of mindfulness. You see, the word Kakeibo literally translates to household account book, but the philosophy behind it is much deeper. In the West, we often view budgeting as a form of punishment. We think of it like a crash diet, cutting out everything we love until we eventually snap and binge spend on something we don't even need. But Kakeibo isn't a diet, it's a mirror. It doesn't tell you no, it asks you why. It's built on the belief that if you can see your spending clearly, you will naturally start to choose the things that bring you actual joy over the things that just provide a temporary hit of dopamine. It's about the difference between mindless consumption and mindful living. Hani wanted women, and eventually whole people, to realize that money is not just a currency, but a tool for living a life of purpose. She saw the act of recording expenses as a spiritual discipline. When you record where your money goes, you are essentially recording where your life goes. If you value your life, you must value the resources that sustain it. I know exactly what you're thinking. Why on earth would I use a pen and paper when I have 5 different apps on my phone that track my spending automatically? Here's the hard truth. Automatic tracking is part of the problem. When an app does the work for you, your brain stays disengaged. You get a notification that says you spent $20 on lunch, you swipe it away because it's annoying, and you forget it even happened 3 seconds later. There is no friction, there is no reflection. The app is a spectator. You are the one playing the game. But when you physically pick up a pen and write down, Tuesday, lunch, $22.50, something powerful happens in your nervous system. You are forced to acknowledge the trade you just made. You're acknowledging that you traded roughly an hour of your work life for that specific sandwich. That tactile connection creates a speed bump in your brain. It slows down the evaporation of your money. This is the psychological concept of self-correction. When we see our actions in our own handwriting, they become real in a way that pixels on a screen can never be. Think about the physical act of writing. You feel the texture of the paper. You see the ink flow. You are present in the moment. In our digital world, we're constantly being pulled into the future or the past. We're worrying about next month's bills or regretting last night's purchase. But the act of writing keeps you in the now. It forces a pause. And in that pause, there is room for wisdom to grow. You start to realize that the $5 coffee isn't just $5. It's a choice. And Kakeibo doesn't tell you that the choice is wrong. It just ensures that the choice is yours, not the result of a habit you forgot you had. Let's talk about the Kakeibo categories, because this is where the magic happens. Most modern budgets break things down into clinical categories like rent, utilities, or insurance. While those are accurate, they don't tell you anything about the value of the money. Kakeibo simplifies life into 4 distinct pillars. When you look at your spending through these lenses, you stop seeing your money as a list of bills and start seeing it as a reflection of your soul. The first pillar is survival. These are the non-negotiables: food, shelter, transport, health. This is the base of your pyramid. But even here, Kakeibo asks you to be mindful. Is that survival food a home-cooked meal that nourishes you? Or is it a $15 salad you bought because you were too disorganized to pack a lunch? The goal isn't to starve, it's to ensure that your survival is efficient so you have resources left for the things that make life worth surviving for. The second pillar is optional. This is the fun category. Takeout, hobbies, that new pair of shoes, the extra streaming service. Kakeibo doesn't judge this category, it just labels it. By calling it optional, you acknowledge that you are choosing this over saving. It gives you the power back. You can have the shoes, but you must acknowledge they are a choice, not a necessity. This shift in language from "I need this" to "I am choosing this" is one of the most powerful psychological shifts you can make. The third pillar is culture. This is the category that most Western budgets completely ignore. This is money spent on books, museum visits, movies, theater, or learning a new skill. In Japan, nourishing the mind is seen as just as important as nourishing the body. If you cut your culture budget to 0, you might save money, but you'll go spiritually broke. Kakeibo encourages you to invest in your growth. It reminds you that you are a human being, not just a labor machine that pays bills. The fourth pillar is extra. The flat tire, the wedding gift you forgot to plan for, the broken phone screen. By giving these items their own pillar, you stop them from ruining your budget. You acknowledge that life is messy and that unexpected things are actually quite predictable. They happen every month. When you stop being surprised by life's little emergencies, they lose their power to stress you out. By categorizing your life this way, you start to see patterns. Do you spend more on optional than on culture? Does your survival category keep ballooning because you aren't planning? Kakeibo makes these patterns impossible to ignore. It's like turning the lights on in a messy room. You aren't judging the mess, you're just seeing it for the first time so you can decide what to keep and what to throw away. The Kakeibo process is a ritual. It's not a chore. It's a moment of peace. At the beginning of the month, you sit down. You don't do this while watching TV or scrolling through your phone. You clear a space. You pour a cup of tea. You pick up your pen. Step 1, calculate your income. Write down exactly what is coming in. Step 2, subtract your fixed expenses. Rent, mortgage, car payment. What is left over is your real income. Step 3, set your savings goal. This is the most crucial part of the Kakeibo philosophy. In the West, we save whatever is left at the end of the month. In Japan, you decide what you want to save first. You set that money aside in your mind. Step 4, establish your spending money. Whatever is left after your savings goal is your budget for the 4 pillars. This is your play money. Knowing exactly how much you have to spend and knowing that your savings are already protected removes the anxiety from your daily life. Once the month begins, the daily practice is simple. You don't need to carry the book with you everywhere. Just keep your receipts or check your banking app once a day. Spend 2 minutes, just 2, recording your purchases in the 4 pillars. Think of this as a financial meditation. You're checking in with yourself. You're asking, did this purchase move me closer to my goal, or was it just a distraction? There's a concept in Japan called gamen. It is often translated as endurance or patience, but it's really about the dignity of self-control. When you use Kakeibo, you are practicing a form of gamen. You are learning to sit with the want for a moment before acting on it. We've all had that feeling of, I need this right now. Kakeibo encourages the 24-hour rule. If you see something in the optional category that you want, write it down in a wait list in your journal. If you still want it in 24 hours and you have the money in your pillar, buy it. You'll find that 70% of the time, the need disappears by the next morning. That is money saved without any suffering. Now we come to the part that everyone skips, but it's the only part that actually changes your life, the reflection. At the end of the month, you don't just close the book and start a new one. You sit back down with your tea. You look at your 4 questions again. How much did I actually spend? Where did I go over? How did I feel about my spending? This is where you look for the emotional leak. Most of us don't overspend because we're bad at math. We overspend because we're stressed, or bored, or lonely, or we feel like we deserve a treat after a bad day at the office. Kakeibo helps you identify these triggers. If you see that your optional spending spikes every Thursday, you might realize that Thursday is your most stressful day at work. Now, instead of budgeting, you can solve the real problem. Maybe you need a walk in the park on Thursdays instead of a trip to the mall. The monthly reflection is about curiosity, not shame. If you missed your savings goal, don't beat yourself up. A Kakeibo is a neutral observer. It's a scientist recording data. You simply say, that's interesting. I spent more on wants this month because I was feeling lonely. Next month, I'll try to call a friend instead of buying something. You are looking for a concept the Japanese call motanai. It's a word that expresses regret at waste. But it's not a harsh regret. It's a gentle realization that something, whether it's food, time, or money, hasn't been given the respect it deserves. When you feel motanai, you don't feel guilty. You feel motivated to do better because you respect your own effort. Let's look at another case study. Let's talk about Mark. Mark was a tech enthusiast who loved every new gadget. He felt he was investing in his productivity, but his Kakeibo showed a different story. He was spending thousands on wants that were becoming obsolete in 6 months. His culture pillar, which for him was learning to code, was neglected because he was too busy working overtime to pay for the gadgets. Mark didn't need a lecture on finance. He needed to see the numbers in his own ink. Once he saw the numbers in his own ink, he realized he was trading his dream of being a programmer for a collection of expensive glass and plastic. He sold the gadgets, funded his culture pillar, and within a year he had a new career. That is what reflection can do. It turns a bank statement into a life plan. One of the most common questions is, can I do this if I have a family or a partner who isn't on board? The answer is a resounding yes. Kakeibo was originally designed for the CEO of the home, but it works even better as a collaborative tool. If you have a partner, don't start by telling them what they can't spend. Start by showing them your pillars. Show them the culture goal you have for the family. Maybe it's a trip to Japan or a new piano for the kids. When people see a why, they are much more willing to deal with the how. You can even have a family Kakeibo where everyone, including the children, records one thing they are grateful for spending money on each week. This teaches kids from a young age that money is a choice and that gratitude is the best defense against greed. For those with kids, Kakeibo is the ultimate teaching tool. Instead of saying, we can't afford that, you can say, let's look at our optional pillar. It takes the blame away from the parent and puts the focus on the resource. It teaches children to prioritize. If they want the toy, they might have to choose between that and the movie on the weekend. This isn't being mean, it's being a mentor. You are giving them the gift of financial literacy before they ever open their first bank account. And if your partner is a spender while you are a saver, the Kakeibo acts as a neutral third party. It removes the emotion from the argument. You aren't arguing about your spending versus my spending. You are looking at the pillars. You are asking, does this match our family's values? It's much harder to get angry at a notebook than it is at a person. It creates a bridge of communication where there used to be a wall of resentment. I want to address some of the myths that keep people from trying this. The first is that Kakeibo is only for the rich. This couldn't be further from the truth. Motoko Hani created this for everyone, especially those struggling to make ends meet. In fact, the less money you have, the more important mindfulness becomes. If you only have $10, you need to be 10 times more mindful of where each dollar goes. The second myth is that it takes too much time. People imagine they have to spend hours writing, but once you have your pillars set up, it takes less than 5 minutes a day. We spend more time than that scrolling through Instagram ads that are trying to sell us things we don't need. Surely your financial freedom is worth 5 minutes of your time. The third myth is that it's outdated. In a world of crypto, NFTs, and high-frequency trading, a notebook feels like a relic. But human psychology hasn't changed in 100 years. We still feel the same impulses, the same fears, and the same desires that people felt in 1904. The technology of the pen works because it matches the technology of the human brain. We are biological creatures, not digital ones. We need tactile, slow processes to help us process complex emotions like those surrounding money. The final myth is that I'm too bad at math. If you can add and subtract, you can do Kakeibo. There are no complex formulas, there are no percentages to calculate. It's just simple arithmetic combined with deep honesty. The math of Kakeibo is less about numbers and more about truth, and truth doesn't require a calculator, it just requires a bit of courage. We talk a lot about the numbers, but we don't talk enough about sleep. The real measurement of your Kakeibo success isn't the balance in your bank account, it's the quality of your sleep. When you live in the financial fog, your brain is always running. Even when you're sleeping, a part of you is worried. A part of you is wondering if that check will clear, or how you're going to pay for that upcoming trip. When you use Kakeibo, that background noise starts to fade. You know exactly what you have. You know exactly what you've saved. You know that you can afford your life. That clarity is like a weighted blanket for your soul. You lay your head on the pillow and you are quiet. You find that you are kinder to your family. You are more focused at your job. You are more present in your own skin. You aren't just saving money, you are saving yourself. Think about the mental energy you waste on financial anxiety. Imagine if you could take all that energy, all those hours of worrying, and put them into your culture pillar. Put them into your hobbies, your relationships, your health. Kakeibo gives you that energy back. It's a form of energy conservation. By stopping the leaks in your bank account, you stop the leaks in your mental health. As you move through your Kakeibo journey, you will notice something strange. Your wants will start to shrink, not because you are depriving yourself, but because your definition of enough is changing. In our culture, we are taught that more is always better. More clothes, more gadgets, more speed. But Kakeibo teaches you the beauty of minimalism. You start to realize that a few high-quality things that you truly love are worth more than a house full of clutter that you bought on impulse. There is a peace that comes with knowing you have enough. When you have enough, you stop comparing yourself to your neighbors. You stop feeling the need to upgrade your phone every year. You stop being a slave to the fashion cycle. Your Kakeibo becomes a record of your contentment. You look back at a month where you spent very little, but your culture pillar was full, and you realize that was one of the happiest months of your life. That realization is the moment you become truly wealthy. Wealth isn't about how much you have, it's about how little you need to be happy. The world is moving faster than ever. The pressure to spend, to consume, and to distract ourselves is at an all-time high. But you have a secret weapon. You have a 120-year-old tradition of mindfulness. You have the spirit of Motoko Hani. You have the power of the pen. Kakeibo isn't just a way to save money. It's a way to reclaim your humanity in a digital world. It's a way to say that your time, your effort, and your life have value. The regular people who are becoming millionaires young, they aren't all geniuses. Many of them are just people who learned the art of the Kakeibo. They learned to see the leaks. They learned to value culture over convenience. They learned the beauty of enough. If this deep dive into Kakeibo shifted your perspective even a little bit, please hit that like button and subscribe. We're building a community of people who are choosing a slower, more intentional path to wealth. And before you go, I want to challenge you. For the next 7 days, I want you to write down every single thing you spend money on in a physical notebook. Don't change anything yet. Just watch. Then come back and tell me in the comments what you discovered. I promise you, the truth will set you free. The path to financial peace isn't found in an algorithm. It's found in a quiet room with a cup of tea, a notebook, and a pen. Don't wait for the perfect time to start. The perfect time is a myth. The right time was 120 years ago, but the second best time is right now. Go find your notebook, go find your pen, go build the life you are always meant to live. You've got this. Stay mindful, stay focused, and keep moving forward. Every entry in your book is a step toward a version of you that is truly, finally free. It's not about the destination. It's about the awareness you build along the way. Your future self is waiting for you to pick up that pen. Don't keep them waiting. Your journey to enough starts with a single page. Let's write a better story together. Thank you for being here. I'll see you in the next one.